So this is just to the left of Flatland, and this is a series of 21 embroideries. Next, we're going to show you the videos. So as I was kind of thinking more and more deeply about the nature of illusionism, in combination, I guess, with the exploration of a meditation, and Flatland, which were both attempts to kind of slow things down a little and alter the pace that we absorb information to encourage reflection or consideration on what you're actually seeing and recognizing that you're constructing the reality, not just passively receiving it. So this idea of slowing things down made me think about embroidery for some weird reason. It's something I've done, I did as a child, and I did one series in my 20s, next image. And I started thinking about each stitch as a pixel, like it is a way of generating an image little by small accumulated units, which are relatively similar. So I started to kind of look at the imagery from Flatland and think about embroidering some of it. And then I also just kind of took other cell phone images and manipulated them in Photoshop and then embroidered them. So here, this one, which was the very last one I did, yes, so that comes out of, it's not this moment, but it comes from this video that you got to see. And then that's my cat when she was a kitten. I wanted it to kind of include everyday images, kind of family photos and things, so that I was hoping that that might make you aware that it's cell phone imagery. And this one is another one that came out of Flatland, if you recall. I think I have the still next. Yeah. So again, maybe not this exact moment, but I took the still from this piece. I wanted them to, oh yeah, I was going to get into process. I wanted them to hang in space with the idea that you see the front and the back of the piece, because it was pointed out to me that the back of the piece is really where the labor is revealed, and that you really kind of see each stitch. So the way they came about, I actually, I had started this series, and then the pandemic began, and I was working away, and they're very labor intensive. And I was talking with someone, and they said, well, maybe you could get some people to help. So for that reason, but also for my own ability to kind of keep working into them, I made these booklets, and I worked out the palette ahead of time. And I even, as you can see on the right-hand side, I have the image of the piece and then a breakdown of the kind of basic colors and areas. Sometimes there's lines showing the direction of stitching. This also was very useful when it came to, because I make them and then they had to get attached to the long banners. So I didn't actually know how I wanted to display them when I started making them 3 years ago. And so I just kind of, you make them on silk, so it's a fine fabric. And as you can see in the left, basically I use a t-shirt transfer. A light colored t-shirt transfer onto the silk. I develop the palette, and then I have a reference when I start to embroider into them. And I tend to kind of do a rough go over, and then I go back, and then it becomes more painterly, where I get to kind of make choices rather than just kind of obeying the t-shirt transfer image, almost like a paint by numbers. Yeah, so I mean, it took a fair bit of time, but I'm thinking I might even make some of the imagery from the books and from the back of the embroideries into a bookwork. But I just thought, you know, there might be some interest in the process and, you know, how they came about. And I guess I should have thanked before, but my big helpers on this one were Walker, Nilofar, and Emma. So thank you. And this is part of the process when I'm attaching the embroideries to the backing, whether it's a solid backing or the silk backing. You kind of have to make sure you've really got it flat, so you kind of do this running stitch. So I guess I kind of wanted them to be big and small at the same time. I wanted them to have an architectural presence and an encouragement to move through them. But I also wanted the viewer to really slow down and take the time to look at them, and thought of many different presentation methods, and ultimately just settled on these hanging banners as a way to kind of make it flexible for multiple different spaces and installation potentials. It could become a maze, it could become a corridor, it could become a kind of dense mass. It just sort of depended upon the space it was in. And, you know, and really try to encourage people to look at the front and the back. And what's really nice is because the silk is so lightweight, it kind of really moves and responds to even the air currents that a viewer walking through create in it.